Hello people, this is the second part of the Spotlight Amateur Dramatic Group of Chippenham stories. I did a vlog earlier about two funny things that happened while I was a member of their group, and this is the second part of that, another couple of stories which I hope you'll find funny. I do, so hopefully you will as well. The theatre group were doing a play where one of the actresses had to pretend that they had come in out of the rain, caught in the rain, got drowned, and she walked in and the clothes weren't an issue. She had a coat that they could make look like it had been soaked by the rain, and underneath the coat she had her costume for the next scene that she was in. The issue was her hair. They originally were going to wet her hair and then rush and try and dry it before the next scene, which didn't seem practical. So this particular woman, she said, why don't I get a wig? If I got a wig, you could make the wig wet, make it look like I've been caught in the rain, and then all I've got to do is take the coat and the wig off and I'm ready for the next scene. Now, the director thought that's a good idea, but she wanted to see the wig first. She wanted to approve it to make sure that it wasn't that different from her normal hair, because it would be obvious it was a wig. And she said to her, when you come along to the next read through, can you bring the wig with you so we can see what it looks like? Now, we used to rehearse at an MOD base just outside of Chippenham because one of our members worked at the base and he got us permission to work in their hall, which had a stage, and we could do walkthroughs and dress rehearsals there. But sometimes the hall was in use. So what we do then is meet at one of the theatre group's houses, and we couldn't do walkthroughs or dress rehearsals, but we used to just read through the play because it was better than actually doing nothing. Anyway, we got a message on the Monday and our rehearsals were on the Wednesday to say we couldn't use this room. It was being used. We would meet at Brian's house. And I'd been to Brian's house probably once or twice, so I knew where it was. But a few of the other members hadn't actually been to his house. And one of the people that hadn't been there was this particular actress who was bringing along her wig. When she got to Brian's, she got there early and she pulled up outside, knocked on the door, and this gentleman came to the door. And she didn't recognise him, but she thought it was part of Brian's family. And behind him in the hall was a lady, which obviously, or I say obviously, which seemed like to be like this man's other half. And she was quite a bubbly character, this person. She liked a bit, jokes and things. And what she did was she whipped out of the bag she was carrying this wig, and she said to this man, "I brought my wig tonight." And the man looked really puzzled. And the lady looked at the man with daggers, and she realised that she'd actually gone to the wrong house. So we all thought, just imagine what that conversation must have been like for that man and his wife when he closed the door. And some woman standing there saying, "I brought my wig tonight." So that's the first story. The second story concerns me. Opening a play was really nerve-wracking. I found it nerve-wracking. To be the person on the stage when the curtains open for the first scene, I always found quite difficult. And I found this particular time even more difficult because this particular play opened with me and this other lady standing sideways to the audience and sharing a passionate kiss. And then the scene went that I would move away and say, "Don't worry, everything will be fine." And then I walk upstage or to the back of the stage, and there was a sideboard. I'd pour a couple of what was supposed to be whiskey, but was in fact apple juice. Pour a couple of drinks. As she says, "What if he finds out?" I come back with the drinks and I say, "Don't worry, he won't." And I hand her one of the drinks, and she's so nervous about this affair that our characters are supposed to be having that she takes a huge gulp of this pretend whiskey, and then we carry on with the scene. Now, I used to get really nervous. I really did. Before I went on in any part, I used to get nervous. But the funny thing was that once the curtains had opened, a kind of adrenaline kicked in, or a sort of muscle memory, or whatever you want to call it. I was just did it, and I didn't think too much about it. And I remember as this scene started, I was standing next to her ready. We were ready to embrace. And what we'd done is all through rehearsals and dress rehearsals, we had avoided the kiss. It just felt wrong. Even though the director kept saying, "You're acting, you're pretending, give her a passionate kiss." And I just felt uncomfortable with it. And I know she did too. I mean, kissing me is like torture. But she and I had avoided it, and we told the director on the night when it's the actual play, we would do that scene. I'm standing there with her, waiting for the curtains to open on the first night, and she said, "Your hands are shaking." And I said, "Yeah, I know, I'm nervous. I'll be fine. I'll be on autopilot in a minute." And I was. By the time I got to the back and the drinks, my hands were steady. But standing there with her, I was quite nervous about the curtains opening. Anyway, she said, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Let's do it." Curtains started to open, and we went for it. When I say we went for it, I went for it, but she really went for it. And it caught me by surprise. I mean, it was like having a sink plunger on your face. She'd gone way in, and she knew it, because as I parted and I had to deliver my next line, she gave me a little wink and a cheeky little smile to say, "You weren't expecting that." And I kind of, for a millisecond, was taken back. But then I remembered, and I said, "Don't worry, be fine." And I walked to the back of the stage, started to pour these drinks. As I'm pouring the drinks, she delivered her line, which was, "What if he finds out?" And as I was pouring the drinks, I could smell that it wasn't apple juice. It was, in fact, proper whiskey. Someone had swapped the apple juice for proper whiskey. And I poured her drink and I poured mine, and I walked back down saying, "Don't worry, he won't." And I handed her the drink, and I watched as she took a huge gulp of this whiskey. She didn't even cotton on that it was real whiskey. She nearly choked. She nearly coughed and spluttered, but she didn't. And you could see she was taken back by it. And she was looking at me as though it was my fault, as though I'd done it deliberately. So what I did was I gave her a little wink and I whispered, "You weren't expecting that, were you?" And the rest of the scene went fine. But that was one of the plays that I opened, and the fact that someone swapped apple juice for real whiskey, and this particular actress, who had avoided the kiss, the same as me, we both avoided it all the way through rehearsals, actually went overboard when it came to the actual play. And it was all quite funny. So those are the two stories for this week, or this vlog. And if you're a biker, you ride safe. And if you're not a biker, you be safe, and don't forget to subscribe. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on my next vlog. Thank you guys. Bye.